This how you get when they get on a little winning streak.
The only team that scared me in the East,
look, see,
is like Indiana and Boston.
It's not bullshit, okay? It's real talk is facts.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Debate with Bait podcast, brought to you truly by the Most Serious family with MostSerious.com. Yes, what's going down? We are back in the building, the sports center of MostSerious.com. Shout out, this is your boy, C Bake, Debate with Bait, the number one debater, the one that always wins, the one that always come with that fight plan. See, Bake always come with that fight plan. But shout out everybody that's checking us out here on MostSerious.com. You can call in at 281-969-8190. Shout out to the Most Serious family, Most City Podcast, Guns Down, Gloves Up with Johnny Bonda and Dr. Candace Matthews. Shout out to Chuck, the whole Most Serious family. And then shout out to yours truly, the co-host, the guy that we got to sit through this whole week with this New York stuff. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We got topics about the New York Knicks, and we got topics about Jalen Brunson. But let's bring him in. Let's bring in the man that's going to lose another debate or a couple of debates tonight. My co-host, my brother. What's going on, Cole?
What's good, my guy, man? I don't know if anybody loses over here. We on the streak over here in New York. You know what I mean? Let's go. I sound like Stephen A. little bit, right? With a mix with a little Jada. But it's all good. You know, New York, we repping over here. Brunson, the all-star snub. However, he's still an all-star in everybody else's eyes. Kendrick Perkins, shout out to my man Kendrick Perkins for, you know, always admitting the truth of how good the New York Knicks are when we have haters all across the region, all across the United States, especially in H-Town, who's been, you know, hating on us since Hakeem Olajuwon stole a championship for the Knicks. Again, like I said, stole. But let's go, New York. Let's go.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Just like any other person from New York, they will over-exaggerate. As you can see, Cole opened up with tremendous energy, and we're excited about that. But as you see, he goes too far. Now he's saying that we stole a championship from them, meaning the Rockets, when we beat the Knicks. But we're going to get to that later. Not that particular topic, but we're going to get to this New York talk. Because, look, I've never been a hater of New York. I lived in New York. I was once a resident in New York. And I've been the one that's been bigging up Jalen Brunson while this guy over here been talking about Tibbs. But you don't hear him talking about Tibbs now. He giving his man props, the guy I said he should be giving props. Well, we're going to get to Jalen Brunson. But before we get started, let's get into this underdog fantasy. Let's bring in Chuck. Chuck, let's get into our picks tonight, and then we can eat this dude up later.
What's good? Another episode of Debate with Bake. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Let's get into it, man. We got NBA tonight, and so let's see what's cracking with the NBA, man. Bang, here we go. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. We got OKC versus Minnesota coming in about an hour. I like Shy, right? SGA, he's balling, dude. Do y'all think he gonna get higher or lower than 32 points?
I got him going higher.
Where they at? They in OKC or Oklahoma City?
I think they at Minnesota.
I mean, in Minnesota. Oh, man.
No, I'm lying.
They're at OKC.
They at OKC.
He's playing against Ant, and Ant was talking trash last week, talking about he get a lot of calls. So, you know.
I saw that too. I
What's
saw
his-
Ant
what's
was
his
saying,
average?
Ant was like, bro, he can do what he doing because he can't get touched.
Right.
He was almost comparing him
Right,
to
and that's going to
Jordan.
be a new rivalry in the NBA, by the way. Those two, everybody need to be looking out for that. What's his average, Cole?
He's averaging 31.5 or
Idris
30,
Alexander.
he's averaging 30 a game. So I give him 31.5. That's my prediction. He's going to get that.
Say it one more time. We lost a little bit of audio. Hold on.
I think he'll get the 31.5. He's
But what's
already averaging 30. He's already, I'll tell you in 1 second. He's already averaging 30 though, last time I checked.
And we got somebody that's tuning in from Manchester, England.
You see that? Shout out Virgil.
Good.
What's up,
Virgil.
Virgil?
In, fam.
You must be a Knicks fan, man. We all over the world. We all over the world.
Yo, what's up, Virgil? What's his average, Cole?
I'll tell you right now. Internet in New York slow. Everyone's searching Knicks right now. So give me a second.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get this all episode long. That's why we got to get to our NFL business first, because we're going to be hearing this all night. And we got some.
31.1.
He's averaging 31?
31.1.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, averaging 31.1.
Yeah, because I think he'll at least get his averaging more. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go higher on the points. And then for Anthony Edwards, y'all think he's gonna do higher or lower than 26.5 points?
I say this is a big game, and after talking about what Shea was doing and getting ref calls, I think he's gonna go for 30 himself. So I say higher.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going for this 38.5 points, total points, rebounds, and assists.
You
Yeah,
could because what's his name ain't playing. Conley, Mike Conley ain't playing.
Yeah, I think he clears that easy. Like you said, he might do 30 points by himself.
Mhm.
I'm good
And then
with
the rest of that is
we talking about
just
Ant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Definitely with that. With him.
All right, let's see here. It's a couple more games tonight. Let's see. We find one more game.
Yo, Verge, what's up, man?
Throw Brunson on there for 30.
Brunson for 30.
Yeah, Brunson for 30, man. That's easy. That's house money. I would say let's throw Houston Rocket on there, but that's
Yeah,
unpredictable.
because the Rockets playing the Lakers tonight, right?
Yeah, that's unpredictable though. Maybe Van Fleet for 10.
Chuck, let me tell you something. Listen, anything you say, don't pay attention, because he this is how he starts up, man. He finna start going. He is really, I knew he was gonna come on here tonight. He sent me a text about, hey, you ready to start early? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, he on it now. I know he on it now. He is on it. He probably been waiting all weekend. And the thing about it is, I've never been hating on Bronson. I've been telling him they found something with Bronson for weeks on this podcast. You know what I'm saying?
You used to argue with me though when I used to say he was better than Ja.
Okay, so we got Knicks playing Charlotte, right?
Yeah, we playing Charlotte.
Brunson, you think Brunson gonna have higher than 33.5 points?
Yep. OG not playing, Randall not playing.
I think it's gonna be, hold on, Cole. But I think it's gonna be a blowout. You think he's gonna be in the game the whole time? I think the Knicks
it'll be a
blow
blowout because OG not playing, Randall not playing. Evan Fournier is on some type of medical leave. Like,
oh yeah. Well, if they not playing, yeah, he'll get
short roster.
Okay, so we'll go higher on those. And then what y'all think about? I got to pick somebody from Charlotte, either
They say
LaMelo
LaMelo's
Ball
not supposed to play, so
or Miles Bridges.
You got to go with Bridges. I think he's the next best thing.
Okay, do we think Bridges is gonna have 25 points?
Ooh, that's a stretch. I mean, man, being that LaMelo's out,
what's
that's
the
still
more
a stretch.
picks? Click
What's
more
the-
picks and see what that says.
Well, what about the
Do you
combinations?
think Bridges gonna have more than 4 assists?
I'll do the 33 points with the rebounds, maybe.
Let me. It's updating right now because the game just started.
I do the combination stats. I'm not doing the straight up points.
Yeah.
I ain't in on that.
It won't even let me. The game just officially started.
So we're gonna have to roll with
Miami,
Oklahoma City.
Cleveland, Miami,
Here we got Boston versus the Pelicans.
Boston Pelicans. There's Miami versus the Suns.
Okay, so we got.
Which one you want to do? The Suns or Boston?
Miami Suns. Miami Suns.
Let's do that one. Let's do Miami Suns.
Devin Booker's been on fire. I'll put him for 25.
Devin Booker has been balling, dog.
He averaged like
25 easy.
Y'all think y'all think it's working with him at the point?
I think they ain't gonna win nothing out the West, but
Okay, so here we go. Miami,
look good.
we got Phoenix versus Miami. So we'll put some on Devin and on Jimmy. All right. So what y'all think Devin gonna do? Higher than 29 points?
I'll give him the 29 points.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's on fire recently. He got
But how long do you think that can last?
I feel safer with the. Let's see here. What else we got?
What's the more picks?
We got 4.5 rebounds. We got okay. I think I like
35.
35.5 points plus assists.
Yeah, I like that.
I think he's gonna go higher than that.
Yeah, I think he'll go higher than that. If he don't get the points, he'll definitely have like 8 or 9 assists.
Jimmy Butler, think he's gonna give us more than 20.5 points.
I'll do the 25.5 points with the rebounds.
Yeah,
with the rebound.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with.
What's up, Virgil in the chat, all the way from Manchester, England, man? Comment on the topics. We're gonna come to the chat. Everybody come in the chat, man. We need you in on the chat. We need your comments, your questions, because we about to get into these topics. You know, we got to endure. We got to go through the boroughs, and we got to endure this pain we about to go through, because this guy is like on 20 right now about his New York Knicks, and rightfully so. He should be.
All right, so got our picks done. We're gonna bet 5 and try to win 100. And so I'll tap in.
Hey, just out of curiosity, we have one right on fantasy, right?
Yeah, we won $25 during the football season.
Damn, I mean that's so bad.
Yeah,
you just said 25 for one game. It was like 25 for the season,
for the football season.
Man, we looking bad.
We didn't lose, and we were probably 100 in.
Damn, we won $25. Hey, Virgil, don't listen to that, man. We win a lot more than that. That's just, this year we even had bad luck on football, but it's all good, man. But shout out to Virgil Kane from Manchester, England. What's going on? Please feel free.
Underdog Fantasy, appreciate it, man. We'll tap in next week and let y'all know what we did.
That's right. We should be doing better in the NBA. But let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Let's get to the NFL, because again, we just got through championship weekend and we have the Super Bowl set. It will be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. And of course, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated. They went into Baltimore and beat Baltimore 17-10. That is 4 Super Bowls in 5 years for Kansas City. They're making another appearance. Patrick Mahomes was 30 for 39 for 241 yards and 1 TD. Travis Kelce, 11 receptions, 116 total yards, 1 touchdown. That is for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you got Lamar Jackson, 20 of 37, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Of course, Z Flowers, 5 receptions, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, Cole, anything about this game that stuck out to you in particular? Kansas City versus Baltimore. How do you feel about the outcome, and how do you feel about Kansas City going back to the Super Bowl?
One thing that stood out is that I'm realizing that Mahomes might be the GOAT. Might not even be Tom Brady, man. I
said it, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm going to let you speak, but I said this probably last year. Mm-hmm. I said it. The guy is. I'm not gonna say I think he's a GOAT. He is the GOAT. You know. Go ahead.
You know what? And I could piggyback and jump off that, because he's mobile, which Tom Brady isn't. He's won with talent and without talent. He's beaten greater quarterbacks, I think, than Brady's won along his years. And I think that this year was more impressive because he really didn't have a great receiving core,
right?
Or even the running back game was all right, but I loved it. In regards to the other team, it might it might come down to people saying Lamar can't win the big game, but I don't know if it's necessarily win the big game, because I was also, when I heard ESPN say that, I was just like, but he won all his playoff games. Is that whenever he faces Mahomes. Like, who beats Mahomes? Look at Josh Allen. Every single time he plays Mahomes, loses. He wins and advances in the playoffs. Same thing Lamar has. He's advanced in the playoffs. They just can't beat Mahomes. That's like the Jordan aspect. Back in the 90s.
I was saying, Lamar Jackson is gonna be Reggie Miller or Patrick Ewing. You know what I'm saying? He gonna fall off in, Karl Malone. He gonna fall off in there.
Well, and the thing about it is, just to add on to what you're saying, Cole. I mean, I'm not going to say always, but within the last 2 years, I've said he's the GOAT. And the reason why, just looking at what I see with my eyes with him, it's his ability to make plays, whether it be running or throwing. He knows when to make a play. But here's the thing. What we got to remember about Kansas City, in particular Mahomes, like, you know, this year, if anybody was having any doubt, this whole year, this whole season should be the number one season why we would vouch for him being a GOAT. And here's why. Remember, we talked about it, Cole. We talked about them missing. Well, at first they lost Tyreek Hill. They made the adjustment. And then me and you talked about this year. You can go back and look on those old episodes how they miss Eric Bieniemy on the offense. Like this year, the offense to me looked like, for the first time in a long time, to what I can remember, they didn't look invincible like they always did. We even saw Mahomes even go crazy on the sideline. Remember that play where they executed that play and they took it away from him? It was a trick play, and Mahomes just went crazy. He was criticizing the referees, and so, you know, and the thing about it is they ended up in the playoffs. I think did they win the AFC West? I think they did. Yeah, they won the AFC West, but they barely done it. And so everybody was asking that question: is it over for them? Is it over for them? Because they're not looking the same. That it seems like it was a little bit dissension on the sideline in terms of who's doing what. And again, the Mahomes meltdown, we've never seen that behind a call. And so it just looked like they weren't the same. Here they are. First game playoffs. I think who did they host the first game? They win a wild card game. Who did they play? They played Miami. Miami. Then a lot of people doubted they were going to Buffalo. Everybody was saying it was Josh Allen's year. They go into Buffalo, they win. Okay. Then they come to the AFC Championship. They go to Baltimore. There's 2 road games.
The MVP.
Right. They beat the MVP. And here's the thing. It's not what we used to. It's not 35-17. It's not the invincible, Mahomes threw for 250 yards, but that's been the story with them all season. Found ways to win. It didn't look like what we usually see them do. We didn't see them throw for 300 yards, 5 TDs, and Kelsey and Hill and Pacheco and all of that. We didn't see that. So a lot of us assume this ain't the same Kansas City offense. But here's the thing. And this is, to me, why this is truly his GOAT reunion. They kept finding ways to win. And that's the thing. That's the thing about Baltimore. That's the thing about Detroit yesterday. Both of those teams are still learning how to win.
Yep.
And what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs don't look the same, but they're not beating themselves. Baltimore beat themselves yesterday. Detroit definitely beat themselves yesterday. But it says something about a team who all year long, they've just found ways to win. And people were starting to think it was a chink in the armor because it wasn't the offensive juggernaut that we used to seeing. But here they are, back in the Super Bowl. And so if anybody is doubting Patrick Mahomes, and shout out to Jason Campbell, he's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. I talked to him last night. We're going to have him on the show next week to talk about the state of the Kansas City Chiefs and how they beat the San Francisco 49ers, which I think they are going to beat the 49ers. But this season,
I think that too, to be honest.
I mean, in this season, it should prove to people that this has been the season that they've been through the most adversity since Mahomes has been at the helm. And look where they are now. They tiptoed into the playoffs. They didn't play a bye. They hosted the game. They beat Miami. They went to Buffalo, which a lot of people didn't think they could. They found a way to win in Buffalo. Then they go to Baltimore, playing arguably the best quarterback, MVP of the league, and they find a way, 17-10. They find a way to win. And shout out to them. Let me tell you something else about them that we're not talking about. We always talk about the offense because of the greatness of Mahomes, but their defense is playing lights out. And shout out to them and the whole defensive staff over there. They're known for offense, but their defense they're making the right plays at the right time. And so it's just hard not to it's hard not to root for Kansas City, and everybody that's all so-called Baltimore fans, the game was fixed. No, give Mahomes his credit. Give that defense his credit. Give Andy Reid credit. I mean, we got to start talking about Andy Reid probably being what, like the Bill Walsh of this era, because there's so many, he's winning. So many coaches have left under Andy Reid and spread out throughout the NFL. I mean, we got to give Andy Reid his props too. But shout out to the Chiefs, man. I mean, they are finding ways to win.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if you don't have Mahomes in your GOAT conversation, I don't know what else you're looking at. I think he's been to the last 6 AFC championships. Don't quote me, something like that, something close to that. But is this his 4th Super Bowl?
This is
number 4. Yeah. 4 Super Bowls out of 5 years. Because remember, they lost one. They lost to Brady. They lost to Brady and the Bucks. They went last year, and then remember he won a year. That was 1 year.
No, this is 3rd in 5 years.
Nah, it's 4.
Because Cincinnati went 1 year, and then freaking
But I'm telling you, they've been to 4. Look it up. I'm telling you, they've been to 4 in 5 years. That 1 year they didn't go was when Cincinnati didn't. They lost in the AFC Championship.
Mahomes was 4-1 in the Super Bowl.
He's been to 3, right? So he's finna go to 4 now. Yeah, that's 4. He's going to his 4th out of 5 years. I'm telling you. You ain't gotta believe it, man.
I'm not doubting you.
If I said something about the Knicks, though, like I'm gonna talk about later.
But if the Knicks, I would have to look it up. I would just tell you facts. I would just tell you what it is.
You see how he is, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm just backing you up. Why?
Okay, all right. I mean, but you look like you ain't believe what I'm saying.
Nah, I believe what you're saying.
I'm making my pitch for this guy being the GOAT. That's why I got my GOAT hat on. It's for Mahomes. It's not for Brunson. You know what I'm saying?
We working together. I'm just trying to make sure that we always fact checking and looking good out here, so people don't invalidate what we say.
But like I said, 4 Super Bowls in 5.
Homie.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk about the NFC Championship. Of course, the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers defeat the Detroit Lions 34-31. Jared Goff went 25 for 41 for 273 yards, 1 touchdown. D. Montgomery, 5 carries, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. S. Laporta, 9 receptions, receiver, 97 yards. Then for San Francisco, you had Brock Purdy, 20 of 31, 267 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Christian McCaffrey, who I think should be getting some MVP votes, 20 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Deebo Samuel, 8 receptions for 89 yards. Now, of course, the story that hit the national news this morning about this game is, did Detroit choke or did San Francisco come back? How do you feel about this game?
I think Detroit choked. I think you can't be up and then lose like that, man.
Right.
I love them too. I remember I was telling you from the beginning, like, I got this team, the only team that can challenge San Fran. Like, don't be surprised if they win. And literally after that first half, I kind of started to be like, let me switch the TV around and start watching other things, because I just felt like it was
the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, they ain't gonna come back. I turned back on the TV. I'm like, to the channel, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? But I had to give Brock Purdy his props. Same thing he probably would have did if he came back against Philly last year. I like the kid. I know you don't like him as much. I know you couple him with Draymond Green and a couple other people and Baker Mayfield, like people as you hate. But I will say Brock Purdy is he's not a system quarterback, and he proved that.
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna go that far. I will say this: he made plays when he had to.
Mm-hmm.
He made plays when he had to, and I can't take that away from him. I can't, because, and in particular, you know what I think about when I make that statement? That was that run in the 4th quarter where it was like they needed to get a first down, and Detroit, they had great coverage, and he was just kind of dwindling in the pocket, and then he just took off. I mean, and you could tell it was like a sure decision.
Yeah. And
he made that first down. I was like, you know what? I got to give this kid his props. Do I still think playing under Shanahan and having Christian McCaffrey, I think Christian McCaffrey is having a great year. I think Lamar will be the MVP. I think Christian McCaffrey should be in second place, just based on what he's been able to do in San Francisco. And then what I mean by him
No,
is he's a multi-purpose back to me. Go
you
ahead.
know what's so interesting to that? Like I was thinking that yesterday, but I was like, when's the last time a back actually won the MVP?
Right.
But I think Marshall Faulk was probably the last person if we think about it, or Tomlinson, the Damian Tomlinson actually.
Yeah,
It's probably when he had the 20-something touchdowns. But I will say that freaking with the whole scenario, I don't know if they'll give him MVP if the voting was
No, Lamar deserves it. Lamar
I
deserves
think
it.
he deserves it, but
Yeah.
if voting didn't take place yet, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get it.
Well, I think Lamar deserves it. I just wouldn't have a problem because I think McCaffrey has done a lot for them over there.
Mm-hmm.
And, at the end of the day, the guy is a great multi-purpose back, and he just runs hard. And I think a lot of that offense, along with Purdy, has adopted that attitude from Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of straightforward, run tough, run hard, make plays. I think McCaffrey, Kittle, Samuel, and Purdy, they all kind of fit each other as far as personality wise. And so I think that's what led to that comeback yesterday. Yeah, Detroit had a meltdown, but I think San Francisco, along with Purdy, they showed me a lot of character yesterday because I've seen them come back on single-digit deficits. Yesterday, they came back on a double-digit deficit. I didn't think they could do that. I didn't think they had I don't want to say offense explosiveness to do that, but they showed me that they could come back from being down from double digits. And I got to give the young quarterback credit. He was a steady hand in the pocket. He only had one turnover, but he made big plays. I'm fully not convinced yet, but I could definitely understand for those people who are advocating for Purdy that I could understand why. He stepped up yesterday and he made big plays. He made plays when he had to, and there's something to say about that. I mean, he's a second-year quarterback and he's making those kind of plays. So I still think, the whole San Francisco is a machine. It's a Kyle Shanahan coached offense, but they showed me a lot yesterday because Detroit took over that game the first half. With that being said, I still cannot, and I'm telling everybody, I'm urging everybody on this podcast, stop going against Patrick Mahomes. Like, just stop. Just stop. I mean, the man is Jordan. He's Jordan right now.
I wanna kind of ask you a question then.
Debate me on that, please. Debate me.
Do you think he's a system quarterback? Because granted, like Mahomes, granted, what's his name is left, but Andy Reid has always been a great offensive coordinator. He also calls offensive plays. Even when what's his name was there, he would call offensive plays at times. Like,
well, here's the thing. It's just
same system since he's been in the league.
It's just this. It's just this about Purdy. And that's a valid question because, again, it's like this. He's been doing what they've been asking him to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just for me, like, okay, let's use that comparison. Let's talk about when Mahomes was coming into his own and Purdy is coming into his own. Is it similar? Yes, Mahomes played under a great offensive system that made things simple for him. But it's just for me, the only thing one of the things I don't see from Purdy yet, which means this could happen, Cole, is that with Mahomes, I started to see at an early time in his career that ability to improvise. And what I mean by that is, he had an offensive machine behind him. Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy. He had Tyreek Hill. He had Kelsey. But for Mahomes early, I started to see that ability to, like, when the plays were breaking down, the improvisation, being able to be creative, being able to do things where it was like, okay, I know they didn't draw that up. I saw that early with Mahomes. Not to say that Purdy doesn't have that. I just think with Purdy, they have a lot of things around him, checks and balances. Now, again, yesterday, he showed me that he does have that ability to make that play. But It's just for me, Mahomes showed it early, and he's continued to do that. Like yesterday, I mean, he did one of those scrambles where he ran all the way around, ran up to the line of scrimmage, and he looked like he was going to run, and then he stopped and just threw it like a little short yard, And I'm not saying Purdy can't do that, but I saw that from Mahomes early, on top of already being an offensive machine. Purdy, they may not allow him to do that yet. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, it's a Kyle Shanahan system, and I haven't seen and then, Purdy had a couple of games where he showed that he was young. I haven't seen that from Mahomes early in his career.
You know what I give Purdy the props though? Wasn't he the last pick in the draft?
Yeah.
Like for him to be in a
I give him
championship
credit for that.
game,
Yeah.
like he's pulling a Tom Brady. And honestly, since he's been in the league, just because he hasn't looked bad at all.
I'm
I
not
haven't
saying
seen one game where I said, "Yo, this dude's a scrub," or he's overrated.
Let me put it like this. To me, here's the difference between the two, since we comparing their careers. For Mahomes, I see him being the leader of the opera. I see him being the leader of the creating plays. For Purdy right now, I just see him not messing up the game for the 49ers. I'm not necessarily seeing him yet be in front of that. You know what I'm saying? Right now, what he's doing, and you can't ask more from a young quarterback. What I'm saying is Mahomes overachieved. I'm saying Purdy is achieving right now.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
I'm seeing that Shanahan is drawing up things, and they're telling Brock, listen, don't turn the ball over. If you got to make a play, you make a play, but here's your check downs. Here's it. That's not Purdy's fault. You see what I'm saying? Where I feel like Mahomes, they let the leash off quickly. And a lot of the things where it came from Tyreek Hill breaking off routes when he was there, Kelsey, and even with Mahomes, it's been other receivers that's come in and out. Him making the plays that that being able to improvise and move around. I mean, it's no doubt. I mean, just look, like I said, just look at this year, how they struggled. And here they are again. I don't know for Brock Purdy, if Shanahan is not there, he's the same player. That's no disrespect to him. But I know Mahomes has shown me, and maybe what I'm saying is Brock just needs a little bit more time for us to see that. It could be. They're at a different stage of maturation in their career. But I'm just saying, I know Patrick Mahomes can go anywhere in this NFL on any team, in any system, and do what he's doing right now. I'm not sure about that with Brock Purdy. That's not Brock Purdy's fault. He's younger. This is his second year. But I'm just saying, in a Kyle Shanahan system, and it's not his fault. What are we supposed to say? Oh, he got great players. He should distinguish himself from the system. No, he does exactly what they're supposed to. Does he have the ability? I think it's there. It just hasn't manifested itself like it has for Mahomes yet.
I wonder how Lance feels.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's like, yo, I could have done the same thing and had I was just given a full opportunity,
And let me say this about Purdy. Does he have ability? Yes. And could he possibly get there? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that he's showing to me is he's got it here. He's not necessarily getting rattled. And I can at least give him credit for not playing outside of himself right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yesterday he made a gutsy play to me, which I know is there. The ability is there. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say? Maybe if he was in another system, he would do that. But I'm just saying, it's a Kyle Shanahan system, man. And they've done a great job out there building him and building things around him. I mean, I'm not going to be mad if I'm second year and I got George Kittle as my tight end and I got Deebo Samuel as my receiver and I got Christian McCaffrey as my multi-purpose back. I'm going to use them. And I'm not going to play outside of that. I'll be stupid. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, I know what I'm seeing with Mahomes. It's there. The experience is there. The proof is there. It's like, how could you not consider him? I mean, how is he not better than – the only reason he may not be better than Brady right now was what? Super Bowl appearances and wins? Well, he's on the way. if you look at what he's able to do versus what Brady was able to do, he's better.
No, of course.
You chime in real quick as a former Niner fan, right? As a former Niner fan, as much as I respect Patrick, I ain't putting him over Steve Young, right?
Who?
Mahomes.
You're not putting Patrick over Steve Young?
Now, when we're talking GOAT status, I will give Steve Young GOAT status right now.
I mean, I could have seen if you would have said Montana over Young, because I think Montana better than Young.
Steve Young performed better than Montana in Frisco.
No.
I'm still taking Montana, man.
You can say Steve Young had better physical attributes, maybe a better talent, but winning wise, I think only won 1 or 2 Super Bowls, right?
3.
Nah.
From a talent wise, I would say that.
Yeah, talent wise, yeah.
I would say that he's not better than Rodgers from a talent wise. I think Rodgers is like,
and I could agree with that.
That dude, but Rodgers don't have the accolades.
Steve Young won 3 chips, fam.
Yeah, but he not better than Montana.
Yeah, he ain't better than Montana.
He ain't done.
Jerry Rice, T.O., like that squad, bro. Like,
you got to remember. You got to remember Montana owned the '80s, bro. You got to remember that. After the Chicago Bears,
and they let him go and brought in Steve, and he kept it going.
Yeah, but it's nah. I just disagree. Now I do think Steve Young is more talented than Joe Montana, but nah. Look at how many championships Joe won in San Francisco.
No, I'm just saying, like when we talking GOAT status, right? And we talking about Mahomes.
Nah,
like I got people before.
It's a debate. But I still think Mahomes. I think Mahomes and Steve Young, the GOAT debate.
I think there's quarterbacks that you can argue for Steve Young. I think you could say John Elway. I think you could say Dan Marino. I think you could say Troy Aikman. I think you could say people would make arguments for that.
Yeah.
You might even make the argument that Drew Brees is better than him with the numbers that Drew Brees put up for his career.
Whoa.
For his career.
Whoa. I'm not
going. For his career, Drew Brees was.
Let me tell you something about Steve Young. I don't agree with Chuck, but don't get it twisted. Steve Young is one of the most underrated quarterbacks.
Oh, he is.
Underrated quarterback, and he should be high on that GOAT list. Because here's the thing about Steve Young: what stopped him was concussions. It wasn't the NFL.
Yeah. But that's the same thing with Aikman.
Nah, but Aikman, you got to remember though. How many did Aikman win? 3.
He won 3, but he had so many concussions.
But see, I could argue that Steve Young is better than Troy Aikman. That's a very winnable argument. Very winnable argument. Because here's the thing. Listen, hold on. Wait. Just on the surface, what has Troy Aikman done better than Steve Young? Just tell me. Nothing. He don't throw better?
He's a better passer?
No.
You gotta look at their stats. Can you pull up the stats?
Listen, Troy Aikman, and I agree with Chuck on this. Troy Aikman struggled when he first got there. It wasn't until Michael Irvin got there to where he started winning and Emmitt Smith.
But once he learned how to win,
once they activated Steve Young, it was like watching Tecmo Bowl.
I'm saying, bro.
I think they played one season and some people would say, well, Dion went over there and Ricky Waters. Say what you want to say. Steve Young got 3 rings. So that's very debatable. And maybe we'll do a show on that, Steve Young versus Troy Aikman, because Troy Aikman was not mobile. And Lord have mercy, Troy Aikman's offensive line was all 300 pounds. He had arguably the greatest running back. Arguably, I'm still rolling with Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I'm still rolling.
He had the playmaker. That's a Jimmy Johnson built team. You know what I'm saying? Steve Young and them, they had a great team too, but Steve Young is probably more of a catalyst of that team than what Troy Aikman was versus what Troy Aikman was for the Cowboys. That's very debatable. I still say Joe Montana is the best San Francisco quarterback of all time, but you could debate that.
That's all I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? That's definitely a debate. But we ain't gonna stay on that. But the point is, me and Cole are we riding with Mahomes as winning the Super Bowl?
I think I have to ride with that. I want San Fran to win, but I got to ride with. I can't keep going against Mahomes, man.
I know.
I want San Fran to win, but I have a feeling Mahomes is going to put another one under his belt. So
yeah. All right. Let's stay in the NFL, and then we're gonna quickly get over to the association. All right, notable NFL coaching changes. All right, Jim Harbaugh has accepted the head coaching position with the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, true or false, Cole? And again, I'm not attributing this to nothing. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm just asking a question. Do the Chargers make the playoff next year?
Yep.
Okay. Do you attribute that mainly to Jim Harbaugh, or are you saying Jim Harbaugh and some other things, or you think his influence gets them over the hump?
I think that you have a top three to five quarterback. They're always underplaying beneath their talent, and I think Jim Harbaugh finally brings that team together, brings in a different type of culture, and I think they made the playoffs.
I do too, simply because I think this is a great situation. I think anybody that's a head coach will want that situation. Why? Justin Herbert, number one. Number two, isn't Khalil Mack over there?
Khalil Mack's over there, but he's getting old.
Okay, but ain't
they got Bosa over there too.
The Bosa kid over there too, right? The brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they still got a lot of pieces. To me, I think it's a great hire because I think that's all they need. I think the talent is there. I just think they need leadership. I think they need leadership, and I think other than the Chiefs, the AFC West is wide open.
Yeah.
You know, I think under Jim Harbaugh, knowing what I know about him, his personality, he's a feel-free kind of guy. And what I mean by that is he's going to let his quarterback test the limits. He did it with Kaepernick. He went to the Super Bowl with Kaepernick. If he can go,
I would love for him to bring Kaepernick as a backup.
Stop. Let's not get into that.
I would love that.
Let's stay on topic. If he can get Kaepernick to the Super Bowl, he should be able to get Justin Herbert to the playoffs.
But he still has to understand what division and what league he's in and what division he's in.
I mean, it's the AFC West.
Be easy.
I mean, other than the Chiefs, you don't know where the Broncos are at. You know, the Raiders, they still trying to figure things out. The Raiders are going to play tough. You know, I think they did a good job by bringing back Pierce, but they still got to move some things around. We don't know what the Broncos are. I think it's between the Chiefs and the Chargers in that division. And I think the Chargers, even though I think the Chiefs will win, I think the Chargers will be right there in a wild card. You know, he's gonna make them contenders over there, I believe. I like the pickup. All right, let's stay with coaching changes. The Atlanta Falcons have hired Raheem Morris as their new head coach. Now, how do you feel about this move?
I was actually surprised because you had a chance at Belichick, who was one of the greatest of all times. I love it because I love to see black coaches get hired, and it's in Atlanta. So, but I was actually surprised that they hired him.
I'm not surprised. Let me tell you why. I'm glad you brought that up. I think anybody who gets Belichick has to turn over the whole car. And what I mean by that, not just head coach and GM. And maybe Arthur Blank didn't want to do that. Because the thing about it is when you bring Belichick in, it's his situation.
Yeah.
Meaning that he's going to control everything. He's probably going to be looking for something like New England where he's a head coach, general manager, or have a lot of say-so. The owner may not have wanted to do that. And you got to remember this. If you were owner, this has to come in your mind, Cole. Is he really? You got to question this. Is he really great of a coach? Because when Brady left, they fell apart. I mean, it's a.
I disagree with that. I disagree.
But as an owner though, because Bill Belichick's specialty, let's be honest, before he became the head coach of New England, he was known for he was defensive coordinator. He's a defensive minded coach. You know, he was a part of that coaching staff with the New York Giants under Parcells when they won with, you know, Lawrence Taylor and Pepper Johnson and all that. But you got to ask yourself as an owner, you know, is he really a great coach without Brady? Do you turn over the Atlanta Falcons to a guy outside of a quarterback really wasn't that successful?
I disagree, and I disagree for a few reasons. One, yeah, he won his chips with Brady, but they were competitive with Bledsoe. The years that Brady got injured, and they had Matt Castle, they had how do you say his name with the B?
Brissett,
Jacoby Brissett, and there was another quarterback somewhere in between there, and he's taken every single one of them to the playoffs. He overachieved with every single one of those quarterbacks that he should have never overachieved with. I just think the difference between them now and after Brady left was that the talent level started to go down all across the board.
But some would say
he was always one to try to me, I felt like he was always trying to prove a point that I could take the least amount of talented person and make them win. So he'll trade away Asante Samuels. He'll trade away Ty Law. He'll trade away Gilmore. He'll trade away, whatever linebacker that's, doing their thing at the time. Because one, they're trying to save money, and one, he tries to play the system, which is why I heard when he was looking for a job, he says he wants to take a job where he's developing. Like, he doesn't want something that's already made.
But the common denominator in all those teams you're talking about, yeah, he could afford to get rid of Ty Law. He could afford to get rid of certain linebackers for money and cap things. But the common denominator of those teams of winning was still Tom Brady.
Nah, I disagree. I think that they always had talent. I think those teams were talented. Like, you have Hall of Famers across that defense that can. Willie McGinnis, Brewski, freaking Guy. You had the Harrison. You had a whole bunch of Hall of Famers all around. He had talent.
But they all were interchangeable except for Brady.
But the key one stayed. You had Harrison there for like the same amount of time Brady was there. You had Brewski there for the same. You had Vrabel there. You had freaking what's his name, Troy Brown at wide receiver for a long time.
I mean, you make a good point, but I'm just saying I'm playing devil's advocate because as an owner, you got to think about that. That's what Arthur Blank was probably thinking. Like, what if I'm number one? We're not going to get a Tom Brady down here in Atlanta. Okay, we're probably not going to get a big time quarterback like that. Okay,
unless you draft one like everyone else does.
Yeah, but again, we were one game out of the playoffs. Do we have a chance to draft a big time quarterback coming out? Don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then here's the thing. What if I'm happy with my GM? Like, why am I going to bring him in, meaning Belichick, if he wants the keys to the car? Maybe I just want him to coach.
And that could work, but I think that has to become a collaboration. What coach takes a job if you don't have say on the roster? Which is why a lot of times.
But you know what I mean by that. He wants more than say. He really wants to be the GM / head coach.
I'm pretty sure anyone would want that. Like, because you want to choose. If your job is associated with something, you want to be able to choose whoever's you're going to go down with the ship with.
But let's be honest, Cole. Not everybody gets that. I like how you try to
get that. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one mad chip.
Because maybe I don't think, again, it's a real topic. I might not think that he's that good because outside of Tom Brady, I don't believe in him. I mean, that's got to come up in some people's mind because they were so bad when Brady left. I mean, it was plain as day. It was like, it wasn't like he left and they didn't go to the Super Bowl. They just went to the playoff. Like, they went from a dynasty to nothing. And it didn't look bad. And it didn't help that Brady went down to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl.
I believe you don't win in this league without a quarterback. Like, and I don't care who you are, you're not winning without a top 5, top 6 quarterback. And even then, it's still hard to win in this league. I'm not knocking him. His resume, to me, he gets a pass.
Is Brock Purdy a top 5 or top 6 quarterback?
I do think he's a top 8 in the league.
You said top 8 earlier. That's what I'm asking because you just said.
I do think he's a top 8. Where does he fit in there? He might even be a top 5. Think about it. We could go through. We could say Mahomes. We could say my man in Cincinnati.
Burrow. His back to go back.
You can say no. We're gonna call this out. We're gonna say Burrow. We're gonna say Mahomes. We could say Lamar Jackson. We could say Stroud. We could say Herbert. And then you gotta start talking about Purdy and Hurts.
So anyway,
you ain't talking about that.
Well, anyway, like I was saying,
All right, so
You got to ask that question about Belichick, man.
Patrick, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson,
You
Jalen
could throw
Hurts,
Josh Allen in there too.
and then Josh Allen. All of them kind of before Purdy. And Courtney.
I think it's I can't necessarily say they're all above Purdy because Purdy's been consistent the last 2 years, and his numbers, he don't do a lot of crazy. He don't turn the ball over. He don't turn the ball over. He makes throws and makes plays without his legs or with his legs. Put my biases aside. Like if you ask me to start a team right now, I'm starting with Mahomes, Stroud.
Do we really
and we can just throw that we can throw names in the bag and just pull them out.
Bill Belichick, do we really have to go back to Purdy, man?
I mean, it was asked. It was a question asked, but we go back to Bill Belichick. I personally think that he deserves whatever he asked for on this next job. He's proven it. I give him a pass. There's not too many coaches better than him.
Okay, so other than that, you don't have a problem with Raheem Morris being the head coach of the
I don't have a problem with Raheem Morris being the head coach. I was just surprised that they didn't go with someone who's won chips. But I get it. And it's also what's on your roster. Like, I don't know what the meeting room said, like what he asked for. I don't know what the philosophy was. I don't know if he said, hey, I want to be able to draft my quarterback. And they might be saying, hey, we want you to stick with Ritter because we invested in him. Like, I don't know that piece. But I'm just saying, for me, I probably would have went with him before I would have went with any other quarterback. If you're telling me Bill Belichick is out there, you have to take it. You tell me that some of these top coaches, Popovich is out there, even if he hasn't won in San Antonio, you don't think he's better than half these coaches out there in the league?
I don't know, man. I think it's a good question to ask because, again, like, you know, everything that the Patriots have been through. I mean, the just the sudden drop when Brady left, and then you have Brady goes down to Tampa Bay and wins a championship, and the Patriots just pretty much go to the bottom of the league. And you also got to ask yourself this, like, I mean, so many people respect the Patriot way, but has it really been successful outside of what's going on in New England? Like, we tried it down here in Houston with Bill O'Brien, which I think it was a mistake giving Bill O'Brien the same status that they gave Bill Belichick. They tried to start the Patriots South down here. And I just don't know if it works because here's the thing, and then we'll get off this topic. And again, like I said, I keep poking holes in the Bill Belichick thing because at the end of the day, they really made it seem like, and this is my argument against Bill Belichick, they really made it seem like this Patriot way, this system, this culture was why they were winning. And for a while, I bought it. But I don't know if I bought it so much because they interchanged. And see, by them interchanging those players, like you said, it made it seem like, oh, yeah, it's a system. It's a culture. It works. They can plug in anybody. You know, he was smart because he didn't have to pay big contracts. He would I just take this guy for 1 year and we still win the championship. But then, as soon as you took that quarterback out of that system, the system wasn't what it was anymore. That's what I was telling you.
That goes back to what we're saying, though. That goes for any team, though.
But I've been telling you that. That's what I was telling you. That was my argument with you about Tibbs. I kept telling you, you were saying, nah, start with Tibbs. Okay, I feel that to a certain extent, but I'm telling you, it starts with the player. That's why I was telling you last year, I stressed this and I stand behind it, and I'm looking like a genius right now. Y'all found something with Bronson. You don't build your team, your culture around a system where a coach divide. That system only works if the players that are implementing that system. And that's what I keep telling you about this system stuff. Is it the system or is it the guys? And that's what a lot of people are saying about Belichick.
But you can't say that.
As soon as Brady departs, they go down to winning 3 games a season. And he goes to Tampa Bay and wins a championship and then goes back to the playoffs. While the New England Patriots, who had this great system and the common denominator is Bill Belichick, they one of the worst teams in the league. So is it the system again? I told you this about the Knicks. Is it the system or is it the players that implement the system? That's my point.
I think with that situation is the quarterback, because if you want to say everything else, his defense has always been anywhere in the top 10 since
But
Brady.
they not winning games though.
But you're not
They
winning
not, that's
games
what I'm
because
saying.
it has nothing to do with the system. It's the
But
quarterback.
you're proving my point. That's my point. It's about players. You say quarterback is players.
No, it's I think it's
Players.
I know what you're saying. I know where you're getting from, and I could admit with that. There comes a point in time when players come into the argument, but I do think the system is established by the coach. The culture is established by the coach on what you want to bring.
Nah.
So you're telling me at a place of employment, we could take this out of basketball, whatever, at your place of employment, your supervisor, your manager, the head of the organization, does it create culture that's going to be there? And
you
then
create culture, but guess what? In order for that culture to thrive.
Yeah, but who implements it? But who implements
it? But the thing about it is you can implement anything. That's why I keep trying to get you to understand. All right, what's going on? You can implement any kind of system. You have to have people who
and we're in agreement with that. And I'm in agreement with that. But I still believe that the culture is started from the heads up. You have to have an idea of what you want your team to look like. Do you want them to be physical? Do you want to play defense? Now that you have this idea, then you bring people in. There's no way you start an organization and say, "Hey, I want to, have R&B," and then just hire anyone who doesn't sing R&B.
Again, exactly. That's my point. That's what I keep trying to tell you. That's why I could understand why the Falcons would not bring in Bill Belichick. I'm telling you, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You can implement any kind of culture, anything you want. You know why the fucking bad boy Pistons worked? You know why the philosophy worked? Yeah, Chuck Daly brought it in, but guess what? He had Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, you had Isaiah Thomas, you had Joe Dumars, you had Dennis Rodman.
And we agree, but he identified them through the draft or through free agency and said, these are the type of players I want for this culture.
Because the culture doesn't work without the pieces to go inside the culture.
And that's what I'm saying. But the coach establishes the culture and he says, I want this type of player. If you say, hey, I want this type of restaurant, right? You want this type of restaurant, you want to serve Cajun food. Are you gonna go order bring some Chinese chef in? No.
But a lot of times, if you're gonna sell, you got to think about it deeper. If you're gonna sell Cajun food, do you not for a second think about where your restaurant is gonna be? Okay, who enjoys that? Okay, so again, right, it's about the players. You build. That's what I'm saying. You build your system based on the players that you bring in. Now, there's always, and I say this about college recruiting. There's always somebody that you're looking at, whether it be a big man or a guard or whatever kind of player, and you say, you know what? This is what the great coaches and recruiters do. That guy, I'm going to build my program around him or her, or multitude of players. So you see with that, you champion what that player's attributes are, and you say, you know what? I'm going to build a supporting cast around that. And then when I build a supporting cast around that, we're going to establish a culture. Because that's what I think a lot of people are forgetting about these coaches. It's like, yes, what is a great coach? Okay. A great coach is not necessarily saying, I'm going to bring this system in. A great coach is able to go out and say, you know what? I'm going to start with this guy or these guys. And this is what they do great. And we're going to feed off that. And we're going to add other pieces to that. And that's what I'm telling you. I'm playing devil's advocate on the other side. I could understand why the Falcons would say no. Because other than him he's a great defensive coordinator, talking about Belichick, not everybody's believing in that culture. There's a lot of things that, number one, there's the cheating that go along with it. But more telling than anything, number two, is like soon as Tom Brady left, and you brought up a good point of it possibly being culture, because they kept changing people out. They let Richard Seymour go, and then they kept going to championships. They brought in Moss, and they got rid of Moss. So I get what you're saying. You have a point there. Like, it's interchangeable. He was signing guys to 1-year deals, and it was still working. But at the fundamental core of that was who? Tom Brady. Tom Brady. You build an offensive line around Tom Brady. You build an offensive line so great that you know he's not going to run. So we got to bring guys in because that's not one of his strengths. We got to bring receivers in who know how to break off routes well. Everything was designed around him. What do you think he did when he went to Tampa Bay? They didn't build no system for him to scramble for 4 or 5 yards. No, they protected him and they patterned a lot of their offense around him. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. That's the counter argument. You got a great point. You have to look at Bill Belichick. But I could understand why a GM or an owner would be like, you know what? I don't believe in that. I could see that. I could see why. I could see that. Now, as an owner and the GM, it could backfire on Atlanta if they don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? You picked up Raheem Morris, you didn't do nothing. But I could understand why Arthur Blank is like, nah, I'm good. There's no Brady out there. We're not going to get a Brady. Mm-hmm. Why would I believe in him outside of Brady? I could understand that. I could definitely understand that. But I get what you're saying as far as the culture because, see, to me, culture is like this, and then we'll move on. It's like culture you establish a way of life or you establish a system because, again, what if you – I always think about coaches that have systems are like coaches that don't have great players. It's like Princeton. Mm-hmm. In the Princeton system, we're not going to be that athletic. So we're never going to do anything outside of what our system is, which is, but again, Pete Carril built that system on not having athletic players. He built that system based on what he had. Mm-hmm. And it worked because they ran it to the point where it was perfection and they knew what to do against other athletic teams. So like every year, Princeton was a scare. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if he had athletic players, I'm not sure they'd be running back doors and all these kind of crazy schemes. You see what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying because it's a valid point. I just think that sometimes, and I'm only saying this, I'm going to tell you where this comes from, and then we're going to move on. I'm only saying this because I saw it. We tried to do it down here when we brought Bill O'Brien. I'm talking about the Texans. We tried to do everything the Patriots was doing, and I'm sitting here saying, we don't have a Brady. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't do it with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Which is why I agree that the players do carry the culture.
That's what I'm saying.
I just feel like management implements, this is the style of play we coming with. These are the type of players I'm going to identify. Like you said, when you're recruiting, and this is what I'm looking for. But you establish the type of culture that you want.
Right.
Then you find the players, and the players take control of everything.
But I've been preaching this for years. How can we be Patriots South and we don't have a Tom Brady? We can't do that. Like, we can't make a system where we thinking that Ryan Mallett, Ryan Fitzpatrick,
Deshaun Watson.
No, not Deshaun Watson. Before him, what's the kid that everybody? Matt Shaw.
Yeah, I even had Matt Castle, didn't you?
Right. And everybody was like, we gonna just do what we did in New England. No, we don't have Brady. We can't run a New England system without having Brady.
Y'all
like, what are we doing?
For a lot of money too. I remember
exactly. That. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, the rest of the league is saying that Matt Schaub is a backup, but we sitting up here telling everybody that in our Patriot South system, we're gonna make him a system. Like, get out of here, man. Like, it worked in New England because they built everything around Tom Brady. Now, there was some other pieces to it that Belichick was smart on, but we don't have a Tom Brady. We can't do that. So again, it's like, and everybody was buying into this, oh, coaches make teams. I don't know. It's just, I think people need to be I can see why the Falcons and other teams wouldn't buy into it. But you make a good point. All right, let's get to the third point, and then we'll go to the association. All right, so Saquon Barkley is coming up on, I think he's going to be a free agent coming to this season. Now, who you think should sign him? I got a couple of choices here, But I think headlining is the Giants, Bears, Texans, Eagles, and there could be other teams we could identify. But who do you think should be the first one to call Saquon Barkley this season, this offseason?
I think if y'all want to make the next step, I think y'all sign someone like Saquon because I think he gives you a game changer to go with Tank Dell and with Nichols. That's how you say Nico Collins. Yeah, Nico Collins, and then you have Schultz at the tight end. I think that would make y'all so dynamic. But besides y'all, I think the Giants should sign them back. I think the Giants don't have no playmakers, and you know what? Why go away from something you know works and works well with your system? You just need to add some outside help, some receivers or whatever.
Let me ask you. Go ahead, keep going. My bad. Go ahead.
No, so I would go with. I would say if you want to contend next year and you want a great quarterback with an up and coming offense with a decent defense, you go to Houston. But for the Giants' sake, if you want to show your fans you committed to winning, you got to bring them back and then try to add some offensive pieces around them.
Okay, so let me put you in another scenario that involves Saquon. The Eagles. If you got a chance to get Saquon or Derrick Henry, which one do you take? Because Derrick Henry is going to be available too.
That is different. It's like what style of play do you want to play?
But what do you think fits? Who fits better in Philadelphia with Hurts and what they're doing?
I feel like you have Swift already. So you could go the Swift can kind of do a little bit of the stuff that Saquon does. And if you add Henry, then I think you solid. I think that if I'm Saquon, I'm trying to either go to Buffalo, trying to go to the over to what you call it, Houston, or stick with the Giants. Those three. Because I feel like Buffalo needs a back. They're dynamic. They need some type of like game changer. I think Houston too, and I think Giants need everything.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, if I'm the Giants, yeah, but if I'm Saquon, if I'm thinking about the Giants, number one, okay, you got to show me what the Texans and what Buffalo have. I need somebody to offset me. I need a receiver. Mm-hmm. I need something to where the defense is not focusing on me. That's why I say you made two good choices with Houston and Buffalo because they have that. Mm-hmm. Buffalo has Diggs. Josh can spread the ball around. Josh just needs that complimentary back. And they back play pretty good, but I think that's a good choice for Saquon. I'm thinking about Houston because Houston has that as well with their receivers, and CJ spreads the ball around. That's all Houston. And Houston's running back did pretty well. I think it's Singletary. He did well. But you also got to ask yourself this: if it comes down between the Texans and Buffalo, we just playing, scenario by scenario base. Being that he tore his ACL, did he?
Yeah, tore his ACL.
Would it matter to you if you Saquon whether or not you play on grass or turf? Does that go into your decision making because of that?
I think to him, it should matter who wants to pay him the most at this point in his career because it's probably his last big payday. So,
but let's say both of them pays you the same.
I think I'll play in Houston because it's warmer weather, and I just don't want to play in the cold because that change of temperature is bad for your knees.
Right. No, that's a great point. Great point. All right, let's get to the association, man. Let's go through the coaching changes. In particular, we're going to talk about Milwaukee and what's going on there because I'm a little bit confused about their move. And then we'll get into Bronson. So on Undisputed this week, that's with Skip Bayless, Richard Sherman, Michael Irvin, and Keyshawn Johnson. Richard Sherman believed that Adrian Griffin didn't deserve to be fired by the Bucks after 43 games. Now, his record was 30-13. And the question that we're going to talk about was this midseason coaching change justifiable? Now, reports surfaced, Cole, that both Leonard and Giannis reportedly got called out by Griffin, meaning Adrian Griffin, for not bringing defensive intensity on a nightly basis. And Griffin also would point out how Giannis and Leonard would not pass some of their open teammates the ball on drives to the basket. And then there was also other reports that surfaced, and these are just rumors, Cole, that there was a rift between Griffin and Leonard started because Griffin and former Portland Trailblazer coach Terry Stotts, which went over to Milwaukee when Leonard went. They had a conflict, which some believe caused, and they believe some around the organization believe that caused Stotts to resign because he stepped down.
Mhm.
And they think that was the rift between Griffin and Leonard.
Mhm.
But let me ask you this question, just adding those rumors and reports on there. Was this mid-season coaching change justifiable by the Milwaukee Bucks? Because it's a little strange to me.
From a record standpoint, no. From a business standpoint, your superstars, the ones you had to be there, if they disgruntled, you don't want them changing the culture back to culture where a lot of people are unhappy and want to be traded, and also you give away a great season, a season when you have a chance at winning a chip. You don't want to have that in the locker room. So you have a first year coach, cut ties with them. At the end of the day, it's your business, is the way you want to run it. I totally get it. I totally understand it. You got new players in. You want to make sure they're happy. I get it. Is it fair? It's not fair. We're all dealt cards. Sometimes we don't want to be dealt with, but you adjust and you make the change. And when it comes to that situation, I just think that the camaraderie that you want and the chemistry and stuff that you want in your locker room, if you're not getting it and there's still a lot of season left to get it by bringing in a new coach, you do it. So it's not fair though. 30-13, I don't think is justifiable to fire, but it had to be something egregious that we're not hearing. There was rumors that he was attacking, telling Giannis, his brother, that the only reason why you're in the league is because of your brother. You taking up space. Like if he's doing stuff like that, that's just totally disrespecting a grown man. Granted, he might be telling you. I know what coaches are. I remember my football coach. He would say stuff to people that'd be hilarious. But that's locker room talk. That shouldn't leave the locker room. But at the end of the day, like I said, is the owner's business. Is his organization, his company, and he felt like for the overall future of the team and camaraderie and happiness of his superstar, that's what he had to do then.
But I mean, here's the thing. You make a good point. You say coaching record-wise, no. You say business-wise in terms of keeping your top employees happy. You understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that the other side would say is this guy is a rookie coach. This is his first year. He's going 30-13. I think you all are second and third in the East. I could be wrong with that. Why not give it more time? And the thing about it is this. You got to ask yourself this question on top of that. It's like you're going to have conflict within seasons. I mean, every great coach that has been they're now championed by their players and their roster. Don't you think this kind of stuff happens?
But what you just said though is that every great coach, they build up equity. This dude doesn't have no equity to be starting issues. It's your first year. Like we could get rid of you. Like
yeah, but at the end of the day, though, but see, the counter argument to that is the debate to that is at the end of the day, we're winning.
Yeah, we're winning.
If we're winning, isn't all the other stuff within the company is petty?
So the counter argument to that is that I have Giannis and I have Lillard. I'm gonna win with any coach, regardless. May not be as much, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but you're replaceable. These two ain't replaceable. You're replaceable. And you're a first-year coach. You don't have equity. It's not like Steve Kerr came over. It's not like freaking Popovich came over. It's not like Don Nelson or Dan Toney or Nick Nurse or one of these other bigger name coaches that's been in the league for a Carlisle or something like that. It's Adrian Griffith with his first job. Like they're not gonna sit here and be like, "Yo, we're not gonna let a rookie coach ruin what we have building over here." So I get it.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see why you would bring in a rookie coach and midway through the season at 30-13, it's like, oh, well, they don't like him and we just fire him. I just don't get that. I don't get that. I get what you're saying, but it's just like, if that's the case, then we never will find out if coaches can be great. Because I mean, here's the thing. And you got to ask yourself this question. Yeah, he's challenging them. If this is true, we don't know if this is true. This is just people saying this. But if he's challenging them, he's trying to get them to another championship.
Yeah.
And as a coach, if you see fit that these guys are not bringing the intensity every day, if you see fit that because here's the thing,
we're in agreement with that. I'm old school. I want to be held
what if he's
accountable.
right in that? What if he's right in that? What if he's absolutely right on that? And it's like they do need to get better.
But this is a generation where the players run the asylum. So I mean, I get your point, and I'm with you 100%. I'm all for being challenged. I even tell my supervisor now, like, if you ever see area where you think I could be growing and I'm not giving you 100%, or that you feel I could give you more than 100%, let me know, because I want to be great. But that's the old school mentality of dudes like us who want to be great at whatever it is that we apply our knowledge to. A lot of these young people, you can't say something to them, man. They're already making a bag. They're already making more money than you. They're used to be catered to. They don't like to be talking to a certain way. So I could totally get where if Adrian was causing that issue because he was just being a man of integrity and speaking his truth. I get it.
I just think as an organization, you're going down a dangerous rabbit hole when you start doing this. Now, if we losing and this dude is doing all this, yeah, we're not winning. We're not winning. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? But we're winning. Like, at the end of the day, what are we here for?
Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. You at your job, you get a new supervisor. He comes in, he's just someone, or she's someone that's just giving everybody a hard time, doing all types of stuff to y'all, but y'all numbers are better. But going to work is just so difficult. You're just always upset. You could tell that she's making everyone's life miserable, even though everything she's doing, y'all hitting your numbers. Do you want to work in that situation? Do you want to work in that environment? Do you get rid of that person, or do you say to everyone that's working there, find a new job?
It all depends on what I'm trying to do, because at the end of the day, and that's what I'm saying, you got to remember that. People got to remember that. Listen, nobody said winning is going to be comfortable. Nobody said that success is going to be comfortable. You know, but I just think for me, not saying that I would stay in the situation, but I also got to remember this, and this is just me. I'm an athlete. I've been on winning teams before. I've been on teams where we won and everybody got along and it's been great. But I've also been on teams that we won and it's like, damn, I couldn't wait to get out that fucking locker room. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, winning cures it. And at the end of the day, when you winning, I could deal with an asshole coach. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, what gives my trust to that coach, and a lot of people make it more difficult than what it is. We trust people who win. A lot of times from Little League all the way up to, you know, high school and all that, people want to go to the schools. You start talking about prep schools and all that, and all people go to schools that win. Plain and simple. Now, there's an element in there when you start talking about amateur sports where parents get involved. That's what made me get out. It's like, dude, be like, hey man, my kid scored 25 points against this private school. Yeah, but when we played the #1 public school, they couldn't get the ball up the court. Because it gets to that point where it's like, yeah, sometimes parents, you complain to me about my son, your son don't be here working out. They don't put in extra time. But guess what? We went 33-3. We won a state championship. You complaining? So that's a whole nother thing in amateur sports. But back to the point at hand. The reason why it's simple. The reason why people enjoy playing for Phil Jackson is what? They won. You think Shaq and Kobe always got along? You think people wanted to play under Michael Jordan? They say as difficult as he was to be around, but they hung around. You know why? Because they won. And so that comes from my experience. I get exactly what you're saying, because you do have to. Working in an uncomfortable environment is hell. You've been through it. I've been through it. We talked about it. Chuck been through it.
And like you said,
it's not easy to do.
And like you said, if Phil Jackson and all them organizations that you talk about winning from AAU to everywhere else, those coaches and those organizations, those programs built up equity so you can take it. But if you're telling me you a first year coming in, I've been working at this company for how many years? And granted, yeah, numbers are up and we hitting certain targets, but you making the office culture like really feel really down and not, I don't want to be there. You gotta go. You gotta
It
go.
depends. It depends. I mean, maybe sports and job is not a good comparison because, again, let me tell you something. Like, again, man, like for me, like, playing. I remember when I went to my AAU organization, right?
Mhm.
And, that's where I met my boy Feet. I mean, we knew each other in elementary school, but when I went over there, he was like, hey, look, we're going to run a lot when you come over here. I'm like, oh, shit, I don't run like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna fuck with this, man. Like running, what are we doing all this running for? And I hated it, but we won. And my coach, and hold on, let me finish. My coach rolled me because my coach, and I thought my coach was just like flat out just didn't like me, but I didn't understand at 12 years old. My coach kept telling me you can give more, you can give more, you can give. That shit was uncomfortable. But then when I started really looking at what we were doing and the style that we were doing, and I didn't necessarily like what my coach was saying. And that particular coach, I didn't necessarily like that coach, but that was one of my best coaches. You know why? Because we won.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't concerned about making me comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's a thin line. I get what you're saying. If it starts to become abusive, you got to think about that. And again, it's a superstars league. If they feel uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, as an organization, you got to be careful with that because if you do, now they bringing in Doc Rivers, right? Now I like Doc Rivers, but I'm gonna tell you something. I always felt in Philadelphia that Doc made it too easy for those guys because I felt like he had Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid in those playoffs should have been posting up. He had Joel Embiid rolling out to the perimeter. I'm like, what are you doing? But that's probably what Joel Embiid wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful in the sense that, yeah, you want to cater to your superstars, but you also want somebody to be able to push your superstars to, you got to get out of this level of comfort for us to win. And that's what I'm saying. I just don't think the Bucks gave him enough time, 30-13, to be fired because apparently he was pushing them to a level of discomfort.
I agree with you. I don't think they gave him enough time, but it goes back to what I feel like he doesn't have equity in this league for him to get that enough time. If the players, if your superstar Hall of Famer, face of the league, is complaining,
that coach time. That's what I'm saying. If it's a first year coach, you know that. You know he doesn't have equity. So you bringing him in to develop equity. You believe in the guy that he is. He's not going to have equity. That's what I'm saying. If he doesn't have equity, and this could be on an organization, because it's a great point what you're saying, but I'm just saying I'm looking at the Milwaukee Bucks organization. If you know he don't have equity and you know Giannis and them are not going to respect him for not having equity, why would you bring him in? Why wouldn't you bring Doc Rivers in the first place versus bringing a first-year head coach? You know it's going to take some time for them to build trust. He wasn't on their staff. You bring him into a totally different situation where you got veteran guys who have won before. See, it might have been the error on Milwaukee's fault. Is that you bring in a first-year coach with guys who's already won, with guys who are already veterans. Maybe they made the mistake there. You see what I'm saying? Versus why bring him in and you know he a first-year coach, you know it's going to be some kinks, and at the end of the day, even your expectation level for a first-year coach, you might even be like, you know what, we might be 13-30, but we're going to give him a chance. The guy went 30-13. You see what I'm saying? Even though he did have great players, he still went 30-13. That's all I'm saying. They may not have even and it might be that they might have said, you know what, we shouldn't even have done this. Let's just get rid of this right now. You see what I'm saying? Because it is hard to bring a first-year coach in with guys who won NBA championships. Unless it's a Tyronn Lue, somebody like that, or somebody who usually what they do is if it's somebody that's an assistant coach. Michigan just did it now when Harbaugh went to the Chargers, the guy that was an offensive
Black
coordinator,
guy.
kind of
Mhm.
they just slid him over because they know the players already know him. He already got a relationship with the
He
veteran
already
players.
coached those 2 games
Right, and
already.
they're not gonna have a lot of people transfer out because usually when it's like, oh
Mhm.
shit, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? So they made
Yeah.
so maybe Milwaukee is making up for that because it's like it just doesn't look right for you to bring in a first year coach and then after 43 games he got a winning record and you like we out. You know, it just doesn't seem fair. But I get what you're saying. All right, let's get to the big topic at hand, and then we'll do a couple more when we get up out of here. All right, the topic I know you've been dying to talk about, and the topic that I actually agree with you on. Kendrick Perkins adds, we're going to Kendrick Perkins. Big shout out to Big Perk, that Jalen Brunson not being an all-star starter in the Eastern Conference is a damn tragedy. The 2024 East All-Star starters include Damon Leonard, Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. Now, I do think it's a travesty. Now, my question is this. I do think he's playing better than Damon Leonard. I think this was easy. I think Halliburton, and me and you both have said it, I think Halliburton and him are the best 2 guards in the East by far.
By far. 100% by far.
I got a deeper question about this because you know what I was thinking about this today because I've always been I told you I've always been on Bronson's side, and I told you the reason why I love Bronson is what he brings. He's a guy that you start when you talk about culture. I think he's one of those guys you start with. All right, but my question it is now: is the All-Star voting is that with the fans?
So there's a certain percentage that goes to fans, a certain percentage that goes to the players, and then there's a certain percentage that goes somewhere else. And then the second round is all done by the coaches. In media.
Okay, so
it's I think the way they broke it down was 25% media, 25% players, and then 50% fans. What had happened was that they tied on the 25%, and they actually had the exact same voting percentage, except for the fan vote. He had more fans that voted him than anything else.
Okay, so here's the problem, I think. And I'm gonna make this a whole NBA thing because he's gotten hate. And when I'm talking about him, I'm talking about Bronson. Didn't Becky Hammond hate on him? Said he was a 1B player or something like that. One of those
can't be a 1A because he's too small.
Right. And then somebody else came out. Another media member said that you can't build a team around him. I totally disagree, and I think it's and I'm going to say this, Cole. I'm going to reach him with this, but hear me out on this. I think this is the problem with the NBA as a whole, whether it be media, coaches, fans, the whole culture, because just that whole comment about him being he's not big enough, you can build a team around. I kind of understand that because of, you build your team around a big man. But see, this is what I'm talking about. I hope the NBA gets back to this. I've said it before. Jalen Brunson, the characteristics that he brings to the game and to a team, you have to build your team around. And I think the NBA, I've told you before, instead of getting behind players like, and Harden's gotten better, but getting behind players like KD and Harden, I think you should be getting behind the Jalen Brunsons because what he represents is a guy that works hard. It's not about size. It's about what he does. Chuck, let me get an audio check. It's not about size, but it's about he represents. I've told you before, that's why the Knicks got this right. And I've told you before, I think this is one of the best free agent pickups because it's not just about his game, it's what he represents. His attitude is leaking all throughout New York. That's why they're winning. Remember, I told you that. And
he's an icon out here, man. This dude.
Right, exactly, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big he is. It matters what he brings to the table. He brings toughness. He brings defense. He's going to be there every day. He's going to give you 110%. And guess what? He's going to guarantee you 20 to 25 points, assists, anything you need, he's going to give it to you. He's not just like Trae Young, where he just wants to shoot. No disrespect to Trae Young. He's
Mhm.
not just like Kevin Durant, who just wants to score. No disrespect to
Mhm.
Kevin Durant. He's not like guys who are just specialists. He is a MVP type caliber. And that's why I think the media has had it wrong. And that's why I think this all-star voting has had it wrong. Because at the end of the day, this is the type of guy I've always said that about these guys. The NBA, I wish we would get back to branding these kind of guys, the guys that are MVPs, not offensive specialists, not shooting specialists, the guy that brings everything every day. That's why it's a travesty that he's not starting the all-star team. That's why it's a travesty. And if they don't do this, it's not going to be fair. If he continues to do what he's doing, he should be in the MVP voting.
Yep.
Because he is an MVP. He is what you talk about culture. These are the guys I tell you, you build your culture around. I've said that about him. I've said that about him last year. And I said, you guys are on to something. Y'all have gotten something that a lot of teams don't realize they need. You need him to be your top guy. And it is a travesty because, again, what more can he do not to be a starter?
You're right.
Damian Lillard, even if Damian Lillard has better numbers, and I don't know the numbers, I know they're comparable. I can't remember who's better or not. But is Damian Lillard having the impact on the Bucks that Jalen Brunson is having on the impact for the Knicks? No, it's not even close. And that's no disrespect to Leonard.
And I'm a big Dame Lillard fan, but I could finally say I don't think Dame Lillard is even better than Brunson.
And Dame Lillard knows that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and
I think the NBA got this wrong. I think he needs to be a starter, not just based on his point production, his numbers, but what he represents. The city of New York is back. Basketball is prevalent in the Garden now. And guess what? Yeah, it ain't a 7-foot Patrick Ewing, but it's a 6'2" guy with a lot of heart and a lot of character.
Yeah.
That's what we should be building our NBA teams behind. Them kind of guys.
Facts.
Not Hardens, not Kevin Durant's, guys like that. Not specialists, man. Not guys that just score 50 points a game. I feel like you could put any. I told you that last year. I feel like you could. Now you can build your team. You got your guy. You got your guy. You just slide in your pieces. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. All right, let's go to the Western Conference. Do you think anybody got snubbed with the starters? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Jokic. Anybody got stubbed from that starting lineup, in your opinion?
I don't think anyone got snubbed. If you could have swapped, if you wanted to, you could have swapped LeBron and Kawhi if you wanted to. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
I say you could have done that, and I'm biased. I think Fox should be there.
I like Fox, but I don't think he's playing better than Shai. And
it's arguable that he's playing better than Luka, or just as good.
Luka's so hard to judge, yo, for me. Like, I know he don't play no defense. I know he's trying a little bit more, but offensively, he's just so good offensively that he's the only
player. Let's be honest. You're not replacing Jokic. I don't give a damn if he was in the East. You're not replacing Jokic. He's on the starting.
Yeah.
Shai has got to start.
Yeah, Shai got to start.
That leaves you Luka, Durant, LeBron.
It would be either I'm not taking Luka out, I'm taking the Durant or LeBron out. And I can't take Durant out because Durant's been consistent. Like, he's been playing almost every game, even when all his teammates were out. And I can't. And LeBron is debatable because LeBron has been killing this year. So
you're right. I mean,
Steph Curry got left out.
Yeah, you're right. So the West better have a hell of a bench. You got to have Curry. I think you got to have Fox. You got to have Kawhi, and maybe even Paul George too. Maybe even Harden. Maybe all those 4 Clippers. I don't know. But the snub is on the East. It's All right, let's move right through and then we'll get done. All right, so we're not going to talk about the Terry Rozier trade. We both agree with that trade, right? All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the NBA week. All right, this past week, We have had a week of scoring in the association. You got Luka, who had 73 points, Embiid, who had 70, D Book had 62, Carl Anthony Towns had 62. Whose performance do you pick as the best out of those, and tell us why? I got my pick.
I say 70 for Embiid because it's just a center. Like you don't have the ball in your hands as much of a guard is going to have in their hands. One of them though, was it Luka that scored 30 something in the first half?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's impressive too. I just feel like the league is soft though. People don't be playing defense.
It is, and that's what I was gonna say. People are saying, I think Paul Pierce is like, man, I wish we had a league that played defense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm with you. I got Embiid as my pick just because of this, the breakdown. 10 mid-range buckets, 7 low post buckets against undersized forwards, 1 3, 1 putback, 1 drive to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that his points are more closer in. Yeah, I thought his performance, and at 100%. I think you need the way Jokic is doing it for big men, and you also need how Embiid's doing it. I think both of those two are bringing the big man back and appreciating the big man. Whether it be the big man that can get you 20 assists with 20 points and rebounds, he can shoot it, do everything, or whether you just flat out have the low post guy like Embiid. I think you need both for the game.
You know what's so funny is that when you say that is the way I look at Halliburton and Brunson. You have your traditional point guard versus it. Which one do you need? Because there's an argument could be made that Embiid is better than Joker. It depends on what you need for your team, though. Like if I'm building my team, if I'm looking for that score, I'm probably going to Embiid.
But see, here's the thing. I like them both because I want the big man to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with the way both of them play.
Yeah.
Because say what you want about Joker. It doesn't look like an Embiid, but guess what? He still can get you 20 rebounds. And guess what? Joker is still posting up. It just doesn't look like Embiid's.
Yeah.
Joker can still pass. It just doesn't look like, and Embiid don't look. I think that's when the NBA is at its best. Yep. Same thing with Halliburton and Bronson. Isaiah Thomas versus Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? We need Jalen Brunson to do what he's doing because guess what? It's okay to have a small point guard that's still doing what he's doing. It's okay to have a Halliburton. So I love the beauty of both of those examples because it's making the NBA well-rounded. It's not just about the step back three. Everybody trying to hit the step back three. The NBA was at its best in the 70s, 80s, and 90s because you had a variety of guards doing guard things. Not everybody played the same. Big men the same. You had Shaq, you had Elijah Wan. You had David Robinson, you had Ewing. Who's to say Ewing's 30 points was better than Shaq's? Or vice versa. Hey, Ewing can hit the 15-foot shot. I want my young big men to learn that, but I also want my young big men to learn how to play like Shaq. So I enjoy both, but I like Embiid's because it did show that if you get your back to the basket, that's what you're supposed to do. All right, cool. Last topic. Let's stay with the big men. Let's break down. It's called Kazan Hoop Center Starting Pyramid. Now, do you agree with this? I got 6 tiers of big men. First tier, Jokic by himself. Second tier, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. Third tier, Bam Adebayo, DeMontis Sabonis, Porzingis. Fourth tier, Rudy Gobert, Victor. My guy from Houston, Alperen Sengun. Chet Holmgren from OKC. Fifth tier, Jared Allen, Nick Claxton, Miles Turner, Brook Lopez, Vujicic. And in the sixth tier, Clint Capella, Jacob Poeltry, Jalen Duren from Detroit, Mark Williams from Charlotte, Vashononis from New Orleans, and DeAndre Ayton. Now, I'm going to say this. I would put Joel Embiid in that first tier with Jokic.
I wouldn't know.
No problem. So you think Jokic is the first tier?
I would have put Jokic first tier, Embiid second, and then I would have moved Wembanyama to third and Anthony Davis to third. And Chet would be in between 3 and 4. But I would definitely put Wembanyama third and Anthony Davis third. And I will have Joel.
Big man?
Huh?
As a big man, this is the big man's center period.
You know that game that he scored 70 something, Wembanyama scored 30 something on him.
So you think Wamba should be in the third tier?
I think he should be in the third. I think he's better than Bam, Sabonis, and Porzingis right now.
So the third tier is him and Anthony Davis.
Him and Anthony Davis with them. I think
Okay.
they're all on the same level right now. I think that you could put Wembanyama on any of their teams and they'll still have the same record, if not better.
So
I think
Jokic
Davis doesn't deserve to be on the same level as Embiid and Joker.
So you got Jokic first, Embiid second.
Mm-hmm. And then
So
I can
Jokic-
see and honestly, I can see where you're saying that you could put Embiid on the same first tier too. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But Davis
say
and
that because
Embiid don't
Embiid-
deserve to be on the same.
Since December the 1st, Embiid has averaged 40 points, bro.
Yeah, and we could put him on the first, and I can eat that and accept that. But I can't accept you putting him on the same tier as Davis. I can't accept that. I can't accept.
So okay, so you okay with Embiid being on the first tier with Jokic?
Yeah.
Second tier is
Nobody then.
nobody in the second
If
tier.
we're not gonna put Embiid in the second tier, nobody's in the second tier. Well, yeah, I guess you could put Davis because Davis is better than.
Okay, I'll switch you one. Can we do Davis and Victor in the third tier together?
I would do Davis and Victor. You could put them in the second tier if you're gonna put them in the second tier. Because I think I'll take Wembanyama over Davis right now. I bet you if you ask LeBron, he'll be like, "Yeah, give me Wembanyama." Yeah.
So you sliding Davis down to the third tier.
I'm not signing to the third. I'm saying that I don't think he's better than Wembanyama.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I think that
You cool with the fifth and sixth tier, Jared Allen?
I'm cool with the rest of them. I might move Chet up to the
three?
Same, what you call it, the bonus numbers. I don't know.
The third tier.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think Bam, Sabonis, Porzingis, and Chet are good on the third tier?
Yeah.
And then you think Rudy Gobert and Seguin is good on the fourth tier? Because you're moving Victor up, you're moving Chet up.
I think you see it's hard with Rudy could probably go with the third tier for what he does.
Okay, so all right, let's just start again. All right, your first tier is Jokic, Embiid.
Jokic and Embiid, but I'm going to go along with you because if I keep it separate, I'm going Jokic and then Embiid, and then third tier, I would throw Anthony Davis and Wembanyama on that, and then keep everything else the same. And Rudy, I'm just stuck in between with Rudy because the way he impacts the game is totally different.
Okay, so you cool with what's on here. You just want to move Victor up.
Yeah, and Davis can't be on the same line as Joel. I'm sorry.
With Sabonis, Bam, and Porzingis. And Chet. You moving Chet up too.
I'm moving Chet up.
All right. Hey, Chuck, let me get one more sound check.
Saquon is close, but I don't think he plays defense yet. Yo.
Okay. All right. I can rock with that.
Durant, I would probably move up to the fifth.
All right. You good with that?
I'm surprised you didn't put Zion on this list.
Zion's not a center. This is for centers.
Okay. Because some of them are kind of soft centers.
I mean, they are.
Yeah. No, but I like this list. I just can't see Davis and Joel Embiid on the same line. That's the part that's
why I think you move Embiid up to 1.
So we could move him up to 1, and then you can keep Anthony Davis there with Wembanyama.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, let's get up out of here, man. Let's do our shout outs and then we'll get up out of here, man. What's that? Oh, yeah, let's run an ad and then we'll give our shout outs and get up out of here.
Yo, rep the movement with Mo Serious Fashions. Copy your fresh snapback or hoodie or a tee. All representing the Mo City Podcast, Debate with Bake, or Gloves Up, Guns Down. Everything is custom made with love from our top-notch manufacturers. We got a dope range of colors and sizes to fit your vibe. Everything from blue, red, green, black, white, and more. Rep the Mo and keep it fresh, fam. Hit up moseries.com/merchandise and order today. Let's go.
Shout out to MoSerious.com. You can copy all that gear on MoSerious.com. Hats, shirts, hoodies, and tees. All right, Cole. I think we had a pretty solid show, man. Let's give us some shout outs and then we get up out of here. First of all, I want to give a shout out to LeBron James, who passes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most All-Star appearances at 20 in NBA history. He is making his 20th All-Star appearance, so shout out to LeBron for that. Shout out to the Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud for being voted both NFL and Offensive Rookie of the Year by the Pro Football Writers Association. Shout out to the Houston Texans defensive end Will Anderson for being selected to the NFL 2024 Pro Bowl. I think he's going in as a sub because somebody's sitting out. But shout out to him. And then I got a different shout out this week. Shout out to former Chicago Cub outfielder Jason Hayward, who opened up the Jason Hayward Baseball Academy in the inner city of Chicago. So that's shout out to him for doing something different. And that'll be good, man. He's an African-American male, and he's opening up a baseball academy in the inner city of Chicago. So I thought that was pretty dope that he would do that. And it also gives kids another opportunity to play a sport that, frankly, I think as African Americans, we should get back to. But shout out to them. But go ahead, give your shout outs, man, and then we get out of here.
Shout out to my man OG. We doing our things since the trade. Best plus minus in the NBA, best defensive team in the NBA, longest winning streak in the NBA. Shout out to OG. All right. Shout out to Brunson. Gonna be in the All-Star game. Should have been the starter, but shout out for being the best player in the NBA the last, month of change. Shout out to Julius Randle. Get well soon. I know you hurt your shoulder. Yeah, these shout outs is only about New York Knicks, man. Shout out to DiVincenzo since you came into the starting lineup, man. Mr. Ragu. You know what I mean? Let's go, DiVincenzo. Shout out to iHeart and the other heart. We all got heart because we from New York. We went down the Yellow Brick Road and we got heart. You know what I mean? Shout out all day. NYK. That's right, man.
We had to let him get it out, ladies and gentlemen. He just been waiting for that. But shout out to MoSerious.com. Shout out to Chuck, the first lady of MoSerious, the whole staff, all the way from the boroughs, from now, not just the boroughs, but from Madison Square Garden. The vibe is back in New York. Thank God. After 20 plus years, they look like they got a shot to win the Eastern Conference. But shout out to them. Shout out to Cole and shout out to MoSerious once again. Thank you for the support. All who attended. My brothers from Manchester, shout out. Everybody. Yeah, that's Virgil. Man, it's good to see that we being viewed all the way in man. So you never know, man. You got to keep grinding, keep pushing. But shout out to everybody, man. We're going to start getting on this internet and answer some of these questions because we see that you all are coming at our topics and we appreciate it. Me and Cole, we don't get enough credit, but we're going to keep pushing and keep grinding because it is what it is. But shout out to everybody. Thank you for another great episode. And we are out from Debate with Bake Podcast. Hey.